Commander Miranda Keyes, your father's actions were in keeping with the highest traditions of military service. His bravery in the face of impossible odds reflects great credit upon himself and the UNSC. The Navy has lost one of its best.
Slip space ruptures directly off our battle cluster.
Show me.
15 Covenant capital ships holding position just outside the kill zone.
This is Fleet Admiral Harper. We are engaging the enemy.
Negative, Admiral. Form a defensive perimeter around the cluster. Commander, get to your ship. Link up with the fleet.
Yes, sir.
You have the mech gun, Cortana. As soon as they come in range, open up.
Gladly.
Something's not right. The fleet that destroyed Reach was 50 times this size.
Sir, additional contacts. Boarding craft and lots of them.
They're going to try to take our mech guns offline. Give their capital ships a straight shot at Earth. Master Chief, defend this station.
Yes, sir. I need a weapon.
Right this way.
Welcome everybody, Josh here, back in the day with a brand new YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about a subject matter that I'm really interested in once again, and that is, can you really be addicted to video games? I don't know if that's going to be the title of the video or not, or if I'm going to title it something else, but this is an article that's come up from Times, and it's a subject matter that I'm really interested in because I've been playing video games basically since I was a little kid. I didn't really have the Sega Genesis as a kid. It was actually my friends, and I'd go over there and play his video game consoles all the time. I did have the SNES when I was growing up. I had the Nintendo 64. I then had the Xbox, the PS2, the PS3, and basically subsequently all of the consoles since then. My family was big into video games and has been for a very long time, so I'm naturally exposed to things like story-driven narratives in video games, whether that be open-world narratives or more linear-based stories, which I prefer the more linear-based stories just because of the fact that they aren't as long as sort of the open-world stories that I've played in the past, like Assassin's Creed and even Elden Ring for that matter, which I haven't even played that much of. I know that a lot of people do really like that game. A lot of these open-world games, especially The Witcher, take hours to complete, and so you're basically spending hours of your life playing these video games. A lot of people are concerned with the fact that our kids or even teenagers playing video games too much, and I don't think really that there is a thing of too much video game experience. I think that video games are in a lot of ways like movies. They're art form. They're something that should be celebrated as art and not something to be feared. I think the only people that make articles such as this one are people that are fearful of things that they don't understand, which in this case would be video games, and I don't think that there's anything really that harmful for playing video games. I have been playing video games my entire life, and it's definitely got me through some really tough patches in my life. Been there for me even when I didn't really have any friends, and I don't think I'd be where I'm at, especially with telling stories and being interested in being a writer, if it were not for playing video games. And I think that having a laundry list of really good video games in the past to kind of go back and replay really does help me, especially with the nostalgia factor to those games where you kind of go back and relive experiences that you've had basically ever since you were a kid. And I think that one of the reasons why people do go back to those video games, especially the ones that they played when they were a child, is due to the fact they have really fond memories of playing those games. And for me personally, when I was a kid, I used to play video games a crap ton. I used to play video games basically for hours on end. I could play a video game basically all day and never get bored of it. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. I have a lot more stuff to do. I basically have a YouTube channel, actually a couple of them, because I do run a gaming channel as well as this main channel that you see me post on all the time. And I'm always constantly working. I'm always constantly doing things. And I've had other day jobs and stuff in the past. I've never let video games really affect me to the point where I'm cutting out of work, cutting out of school to kind of go play video games. That was never really a thing for me. I think I've had a stable household where my family always said, hey, you have to value school and work and stuff like that. And then after that, you can do basically whatever you want. And that was basically my childhood growing up. Because when I came home from school, I immediately watched G4 TV, which is basically a gaming network, which basically allowed you to kind of get information based on the latest video games that went out. I would still do my homework while I was kind of doing that. And then afterwards, I'd probably play a couple hours of video games. And when I was a kid, I could basically play, like I said before, video games all day. I could basically play video games till the cows come home. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. I play maybe 2.5 hours of video games, sometimes a little bit more depending on how I'm feeling, or if I'm playing Fortnite or something with my friends, then it might be a little bit different. And Fortnite is one of those games that I might be talking about relatively soon soon on my channel, where the whole goal of the match is to kind of drop you into a match full of other players. It's basically a battle royale style game, and then you kind of drop in either with your friends, or you can play solo, no build, or even build mode with your friends, and have basically hours of fun if you wanted to. But for me, video games are something that I play nowadays mostly just to relieve stress. It's a way for me to wind down, especially if I've had a long day at work. And I think that for a lot of people that are my age, myself, that's basically all we kind of do is we come home, we play video games, we watch movies. And I think it's kind of funny that we have so much of this fixation on video games where we don't really have it in terms of movies, because technically people could be addicted to watching movies. I do have a channel that revolves around movies as well. I've kind of combined both my movie and video game channels, but I write movies on the side. I like to help out on film sets and help create them. I really want to become a filmmaker or a film director at some point in time in the not so distant future. I think it'd be a really cool job to have, especially if I get to work on a professional film set and actually work with talented individuals within the industry. But for right now, I'm kind of happy doing this, and I think that YouTube allows a lot of that experience. I can do that at home, and so I think that people can be addicted to a lot of things, and I think that anything in moderation can be good for you. I think that too much of anything is pretty much bad, especially with things like pornography or movies, video games. I think too much of anything could be technically bad for you, but for movies and video games, it's art, so I don't really see anything too bad watching or playing video games, because video games is basically just an interactive movie. It's an interactive art form, and so I think that a lot of people that don't play them kind of fear them because they've never actually interacted with a video game before in their life. They might have seen their kids play them, and that's kind of the reason why they fear them. But before I ramble on too much about video game addiction, I really don't see it as a thing, especially someone who only plays video games for like 2 or 3 hours now. I have other things going on in my life. I don't have it dedicated solely to playing video games like I did when I was a kid, and I think gamers are more or less kids and teenagers, and that's kind of the reason why they play these video games a lot, especially during the pandemic, because they had access to their friends. Their friends are always online, especially with video games, so it's to play video games with your friends and, you know, just have a fun time. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see why we kind of have to constantly have these debates of whether video games cause violence or if video games are addictive, because they're not. It's just something that I don't really find addicting to myself. I played a lot of video games in the past, but those are overall my thoughts and opinions of this subject matter. I don't know if I'm going to be talking about subject matter again, especially with the video game addiction thing, but if something comes up, maybe I will. Hopefully you guys like this video. I'm kind of trying a little bit more different stuff on this channel. I'm trying to kind of, you know, merge my video game and movie reviews on the same channel, so that way in the future I can talk about multiple different subject matters. I'm not just locked in one sort of video. But hopefully you guys like this, and as always guys, if you like this and want to see more, please rate, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Zara lets me go, and here we are.
This is bad.
We just pick up the trail where we left off, and...
Wait, trail? Sam, there's no trail. After Rafe and I escaped, he took his parents' fortune and bought up all the land around St. Dismas Cathedral. We combed that place for weeks. Avery's treasure isn't there. Not that that stopped Rafe.
The moron's been digging for years, still hasn't turned up squat. Not really surprised.
What does that mean?
I just, you know, happened to do a little digging of my own. And, I bet you Rafe doesn't have this. It's really amazing what you can find on the internet these days.
It's just the St. Dismas cross.
Oh, is it? Because the one we found was broken and hollow, remember?
Holy crap, it's still intact. Avery made more than one cross.
So whatever's missing from the one in Panama
is probably still inside this one. Well, all right. Well, where is this?
Oh, this exquisite piece is going up for auction in 3 days at the Rossi Estate.
The Rossi Estate?
Oh, you know it.
Yeah. And how do you plan on securing an invite to an exclusive, heavily guarded black market auction?
Well, you don't necessarily need an invitation, per se.
Yeah. And where are you gonna get the money to outbid all the high rollers? I could take a second mortgage out on my house, and it still wouldn't be enough to... Yeah, you're gonna try and steal it, huh?
No. We are.
Oh, no. No, man, listen, I can't. I'm out.
What?
No, I just don't do that kind of thing anymore. Besides, there are plenty of other guys that are much more equipped to handle this kind of thing.
Like who?
I don't know, like, anybody, Charlie Cutter.
No.
No, he's my
No,
go-to
no,
guy for
no,
this sort of thing.
absolutely not. I don't trust Charlie or anybody else that you've got on that phone with my life, okay? I need you on this one.
Sam, there's got to be another way.
Not with the time I got left. Certainly not with Alcazar.
Hey, hon, it's me. Yeah, listen, you're not gonna believe this. Jameson just walked in here with the permits. Yeah. I know, but, looks like I'm gonna take that Malaysia job after all.